Erica. It's Erica and Tammy from Sacramento Investment Without Displacement.
And Bill.
And Bill, yeah. 457 down there.
That's me.
Yeah, Bill, sorry. Anyway, that the three of them have come to our meeting tonight and are going to give us some information about what they're up to, and then we'll, see what Elmhurst can do. So you guys take it away. We've got till 7:30 on this item.
Okay, Erica, do you want to do intro or do you want me to do it?
I can introduce myself. My name is Erica Jaramillo, and I am a member of Sacramento Investment Without Displacement and a longtime resident of Oak Park. I was born and raised here in Sacramento as well.
Okay, and I'm Tammy Dramer. I live in College Green, so we share our council district with you all. And I've lived in Sacramento for 50 years.
You got me beat.
I've lived and or worked in every council district in the city. I am the executive director of Organized Sacramento, and we are a member organization of Sacramento Investment Without Displacement. And I think Bill did his already, but Bill?
Bill Mottman's 45-year resident of Tahoe Park and longtime 20-plus year board member of the Tahoe Park Neighborhood Association.
Great. So I also forgot I was a Sac High graduate. So just want everybody to understand where our roots are, and our connection to community. I don't live in the Aggie Square Development Direct area, but I care very much about the neighborhoods, and I've watched them change over time. And I know Erica is herself experiencing some problems with gentrification and unstable housing, and this Aggie Square development that they're proposing. We think it's a great idea, but we also know that if we don't band together as a community, that the negative impacts of such developments could displace the cultural norms of our communities. And we want to make sure that this development, when it goes in, reflects our values in the community and meets the needs so that we can break the cycle of developments gentrifying our communities and displacing residents and negatively impacting their health and well-being and mom and pop small businesses. So that's why we formed Sacramento Investment Without Displacement. And that's what we're here to talk with you all about today. So Erica, did you want to chime in here?
Well, I wanted to see if Bill, you wanted to add something, and then I was just going to share a little bit more about just the housing, what's kind of happening right now in Oak Park with housing.
Yeah,
Bill,
I'm not sure what everyone wants to talk about, so I'll just listen until I hear some questions.
Okay. So I'll just share that, I'm experiencing my own housing instability, and, one of the things that residents of Oak Park, I think, have long felt this, mostly Black and brown neighbors and residents. Gentrification has been happening for the last 10 years, but this project is really going to exacerbate displacement if mitigations aren't input into it, or not included. And, one of the things a recent resident shared with me was that she was trying to stay rooted in Oak Park, her and her child. She's a single mom, and she was finally able to buy a home. She has looked at 25 homes, 12 within the Oak Park neighborhood area, and got outbid on all of them. And finally, there was one house where she wrote a letter to the owner. She said begging. She was literally begging to be able to stay in the neighborhood and what that would mean for her to the owner. And the owner, gratefully, luckily for her, accepted her offer. but all the houses currently right now are going for over 100,000 in bidding prices. And I've heard that from multiple local realtors. And so, you know, when we're talking about gentrification, it's really exacerbating displacement in the neighborhood. And for my situation personally, you know, even trying to look for other rental homes. So I'm a state worker. I have a master's degree from USF, and I can still barely pay my rent. And the average rents for what I'm looking for are starting at anywhere from $1,200 to $1,375 for a 1-bedroom. And I have not been able to find anything in my own neighborhood.
Thank you so much for sharing your story. You know, it takes a lot. Like Erica and I and Bill have been working on this project, trying to help make it better for about 2.5 years now, with our involvement with SAC Investment Without Displacement. And, you know, I have to commend Erica for getting to that space where she feels comfortable telling her story, because it's really hard to talk about, you know, what you can afford and what you can't. And so it's really important that we have community voices like Erica's with us, and Bill's too, his lifelong experience in the area. So it's just, you know, we're very happy that you invited us here today, and we're here to answer your questions about Sacramento Investment Without Displacement. But if you could allow me just to share my screen for a minute, I can pull up our website and just kind of give folks an overview of what the group is. Nope, you don't need to read my email. Stay out of my email.
To find all the things that are open on your screen to see everything at once.
Oh, there it is again. Where'd it go? Okay, here we go. So Sacramento Investment Without Displacement is a project. Basically, we put this group together because these big developments come along. You know, there was the arena, and then, you know, the soccer stadium's coming. There's Aggie Square here. There's some other stuff, you know, looking to happen out in North Sacramento if our economy even ends up being what it used to be. But so we came together to try to achieve the first comprehensive community benefits agreement around a development. So what happens in other cities is that we have these established coalitions everywhere, and they work together around big developments to come to put together a community benefits package that's a legal agreement between the developer, in this case it's UC, and the community organization, right? That says we need certain mitigations in our community in order for us to support this project. So we have tried over the last 2.5 years to negotiate with the University of California and Wexford, the developer, and nothing. Chirps. Bill was even part of their community group that they sort of stood up or tabled, and got so frustrated with them that he quit. Right, Bill?
That's correct. I resigned after listening to 2.5 years of slide presentations and no input whatsoever.
So Bill stuck with SAC Investment Without Displacement, and we have filed. Well, they put together their environmental impact report, and we found that it was very insufficient. So there's environmental impacts during construction, but there's ongoing environmental impacts with traffic. And then now within our California Environmental Quality Act, it also includes housing. And they had no housing plan for anyone but students. So they had no mitigations at all in their report for the gentrification in the neighborhood, nor including housing that's affordable for the people who are going to be coming in to work in those buildings, right? You have custodians, you have people mowing the lawns. You hopefully have a childcare center, which they did not plan for, but that impacts vehicle miles traveled, right? If people have to go to the babysitter before they go to work, they're not going to get on public transit, right? They're going to drive. So, you know, there are issues. We wrote a comment letter on the environmental impact report, and they responded to none of it in their final EIR. So it was at that point that we decided that we needed to get an attorney to give us advice on what our next steps are. And we wound up filing a lawsuit. Some of the misinformation that's out there is that we filed a lawsuit to try to stop the project, which we did not. We did not file an injunction. And at this point, we have no plans to do that, but we're counting on our court system to give the community a voice and to force UC to come to the table and negotiate these mitigations with us. And so some of the groups that are with us here, let me see if they're listed, hopefully, on here. Oh, they're not, of course. Okay, so there's ECOS, there's the Environmental Council of Sacramento, there's the Sacramento Housing Alliance, there's Organized Sacramento, there's the Tahoe Park Neighborhood Association, there's the Oak Park Neighborhood Association, there's Walk Sacramento. Who am I forgetting, Erica? Help me out here.
OPNA,
I said OP.
UL.
Yeah, and then, oh, here they are. We've got ECOS, Walk Sac, Latinos United, ACE, the Alliance of Californians for Community Empowerment, UPD, Local 9119, the SAC BHC, which is funded by the California Endowment, and the Sacramento Community Land Trust. We've gotten some new members lately, and basically we're here to ask for you to stand with us and join our community coalition to achieve the benefits that we want to achieve.
Oh, I'll also share too that this is really not just for the Aggie Square project. There's going to be, I think sometimes we forget to mention that part, but there's going to be a lot of other projects coming up, like the riverfront. And you know, the idea behind Sacramento Investment Without Displacement is really to leverage the platform and the coalitions within it, or the orgs within it that are part of the coalition, to like get benefits for every neighborhood that is going to be impacted by big developments. Because Aggie Square is not the first, and it's not going to be the last.
I agree completely. And that's the whole thing, is that until developers understand that when they come into our communities, that they're going to have to make sure that they benefit the people that actually live there, then we're not going to get the next one, right? So we've got to win a comprehensive community benefits agreement like they've done in Los Angeles and Oakland and Atlanta and all across this country before we get the next one. And so this is our opportunity right now to make sure that this project that's before us benefits us. So there's a whole list of mitigating things that we've put together that include health, housing, workforce and labor, Aggie Square workforce, investments in small business, environmental health, compliance and justice, transportation, youth and education, community arts, and food access that we've included in our list of demands. And Maggie has this list, and I'm sure that she can share it with all of you. It's a pretty long read right now for this situation. So I just wanted to let you know that there is a list and that you're welcome to run through it before you come to any sort of decision of whether or not, you know, you would like to join as a member organization of our coalition. But I'm happy to speak to it if you have questions. So where should we go from here, Maggie?
Well, maybe it's worth highlighting some of the parts of the mitigation, you know, particularly housing and gentrification. I think those are issues that certainly are facing Elmhurst as well. You know, the Oak Park, because their housing stock is a little cheaper, of course, are being targeted, you know, have been targeted, but the other neighborhoods around Aggie Square also, you know, potential. So maybe talk a little bit more about the housing, and I don't know if there are other areas people are interested in, but that's one area.
Okay, for sure. So I slid down to the housing asks down here, and what we're asking for is a housing trust fund, and this is traditional in other community benefits agreements. This is to scale of what they should be contributing as far as housing compared to other successful community benefits agreements across the state and across the country. So we're asking for $50 million in an affordable housing trust fund. You know, people ask me, oh, well, whether the money comes from the city or the UC, it's all taxpayers' money. Well, let me tell you, the city doesn't have any money. UC has money, right? So why would we leverage our city funds when we really need that to keep our community healthy right now? UC has bigger pockets than the city of Sacramento. And right now what the mayor's proposing is that the city do it. And we're arguing, no. The UC wants this development. They're going to make billions of dollars over many, many years, and they should pay for it. So that's that myth and misconception that I wanted to clear up. So we're asking for a $50 million affordable housing trust fund to build new and regulated affordable rental housing units. Again, for those folks that are coming in, they're going to mow the lawn, that are going to paint the hallways, and that are, you know, basically going to take care of our children, right? As far as childcare. They need affordable places to live so that they don't have to commute and contribute to the congestion in traffic. So we want a rehabilitation of substandard homes in the area. We have a lot of folks struggling. They're going to continue to struggle in advance or past the COVID. And so we want them to be able to not have to get a second on their home, get their home reassessed, have their taxes go up, but to have a fund where they can get the new roof on their house or replace their windows. Rental assistance and support for existing renters. We're going to have a lot of people struggling to make up the rent that they've missed. And this would be a great, perfect timing opportunity for us to have a fund to be able to help people. And then first-time home buyer assistance so that the people who are like Erica's friend can get some assistance to be able to buy a home in the neighborhood where they grew up. So we did put a cap on years on the second part of it, $200,000 annually for 10 years to preserve housing for individuals or families with low incomes, and relocation benefits for individuals or families with low incomes that are displaced. So if their rent does go up and they really can't find anything in Oak Park, we want to be able to have a fund that they can tap into so that we can help them with a first and a last, either still in the community or outside the community. The trust fund would support the construction of 500 affordable units with a $100,000 subsidy for each unit within the neighborhoods immediately surrounding Aggie Square. And then we want the UC to donate some university land for the housing, because that is almost always the biggest hurdle to getting affordable housing built is the purchasing of the land. That's why poverty is continually concentrated in certain areas, because the land is cheaper there, right? So we want to make sure that we're spreading the love, and we want to make sure that people can live near where they work. So, and then and inclusionary housing means that a certain proportion of housing is reserved for people with lower incomes. So yeah, and no net loss of homes. So we say if we have the area mapped out, right? If somebody tears down a fourplex, then they have to build at least 4 units on that same residential lot, right? So that's what the no net loss policy is for. And then a commitment to affirmatively furthering fair housing. So that's the housing portion. Is there something else that somebody wants?
There's some more things in the chat. Tammy, do you want to? I think there's some other questions in the chat.
I can't see the chat while I'm sharing.
Okay,
So
let's see.
Go
Okay, one of them is the funding that you were talking about. Is that coming from UC or Wexford, the private developer?
So either Wexford or UC, whichever one wants to cough up the funds is fine with us. What the city is proposing is that they pay for it and that we should accept that, which, yeah, maybe we can negotiate around that. But I personally feel like we're tired of incentivizing this sort of development without getting sort of anything in return. So we want to make sure that we're really pushing on the UC and Wexford to pay for this. Wexford is a $1 billion corporation traded on Wall Street. UC is humongous statewide. And the city of Sacramento is really struggling right now. So I don't know that it's the wisest fiscal decision for them to say, oh, no, wait, we'll pay for it.
Yeah.
It's just one more thing we're going to pay for, right?
There's another question here. What mitigation are you planning to deal with the increased traffic and congestion and pollution caused by the increased cars on the streets around and near Aggie Square?
Okay, let me share my screen again, and I will pull up the transportation asks. So we're asking that there is a campus shuttle, right? And that it's electrified. And then we're asking to, like I said before, for childcare so that people aren't making 2 stops, so they can reduce vehicle miles traveled. So people will get on the train with their kids if they can drop them right at the daycare center, right at the front door of work, right? So let me see if there we go. Here we go. The affordable housing on campus reduces the need for driving, just like I said. It also keeps people from becoming poorer, right? When people earn low wages, when they're a custodian, if they have to drive from Citrus Heights to get to campus, then they're spending money on gas and tires and, just maintenance on their cars. And they're also contributing to our carbon problems, right? So building affordable housing on site can help also reduce the traffic. Encouraging car-free households, right? By managing the parking, reducing single occupancy vehicle use of students, faculty, and staff by providing things like bus passes, right? So SMUD as an agency provides a discounted transit pass for all of their workers that choose to take it. They also provide van ride shuttles from remote locations, carpools, van pools. So those are things that they can do. And those are things that we've asked them to do. So we're looking at free micromobility vouchers. We want free shuttles between, not just around campus, but also between light rail stations and the campus and bus stations in the campus. And then provide long-term and short-term on-site bike parking at the residential buildings and the employment centers. So we know they're planning, I'm sure you guys have been looking at the new Stockton Boulevard plan, and they're planning all these bike lanes, and they're going to reduce traffic flows in there. And unless they do these mitigations, not only are we going to have diminished air quality, but you guys are going to be stuck in traffic trying to get from here to there. And there's nothing worse than that when it's 110 degrees outside. So we're asking for traffic calming measures. And this is kind of in the city side, but we also are going to need them on campus because there's that network of little streets that they have that runs through the campus. And then we want UC to give RT money because RT's broke too, to do the designing, right? So you can't have this development just come here and put this extra fiscal burden on this local agency that's already broke, poor, and not pay for it. So we're asking that the money gets shifted over to the places that are incurring costs. And we happen to think that's fair. I don't know if you do or not. So yeah.
Just wanted to clarify. So the document that we're looking on the screen, is that available on your website?
It's not on the website. So what we're going to do for the website, and we just had a communications meeting right before this, is we're going to take this and we're going to slim it down for the website. So basically we're going to take our percentages out of it, and we're going to take, some of the things out of it and just do a broader overview on the website. And part of the strategy behind that is we're actually, the judge has ordered a mandatory, what's it called, Erica? Oh, thank you, Bill. Thought Erica's voice got really deep there for a second.
Wait, what are you looking for?
So we're in the process of having, the judges ordered a mandatory, because we filed a lawsuit, the judges ordered a mandatory
Settlement conference.
settlement conference. Thank you. And so we're about to start negotiating. And so though we're sharing this document with you and it's kind of out there, we think if we put it on the website, it'll be a little more closed and we'll be able to have some more conversations in the settlement conference with folks about what we end up with. But just want to show you what our comprehensive coalition came up with, and we hope that it aligns with your values.
And Tammy, this is what you sent me, so I can pass it on if people do want to read it. There was a question in the chat about is this presentation, I'm not sure what the presentation right now is being recorded so that if people want to come back, but
Sure.
do you guys have other presentations on your website or PowerPoints or things for?
We don't. We're working on building up our infrastructure, right? Because this is our first project as Sacramento Investment Without Displacement. So we're building up a PowerPoint specifically around this. And at the same time, you know, the 40 people who are on our meetings every Friday are scrambling to get all of the other work done. So we've got the website. Let me put the link to that in the chat. And also we have a legal fund, GoFundMe. Thank you. Those of you who have already made donations, we appreciate you very much. You can link to the GoFundMe either through the website or I'll put the link up also. And this is just really a community-driven operation, and we all have full-time jobs outside of this group. So we're all just trying to do what we can do, but we will have a slide deck sooner or later.
Well, we certainly appreciate your taking the time to do this. I know you met with some ENA board members last week, and I don't know if any of them have anything they want to add. We have just a couple minutes left here. Rick or Francesca or Manuel, I don't know who else was at that meeting. Do you guys have anything else you want to say or put in here before we wrap this up?
Well, having been on the Aggie Square Community Engagement Committee for 2.5 years with Bill, and being just as frustrated as Bill was with UC's non-commitment to anything that we asked for as far as mitigation in traffic, congestion, housing, gentrification. I'm on board. Definitely.
Thank you, Rick.
Thanks, Rick.
Sure.
I just want to say, I mean, I second what Rick said, and a lot of the issues that that the group is working on and has actually thought a lot about are issues that we've been discussing as a neighborhood. So I'm thinking that together we can have a bigger impact. So I just want to thank Tammy, Erica, and Bill for being here, and this, you know, Maggie can give us direction on the next steps for figuring out if we want to join the coalition or not. But it just seems like we have a lot of shared goals, and we really appreciate the work that you're doing for the city.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, thank you guys for coming.
Thank you, Manuel.
Yeah,
Thanks
I would
for having
just say,
us.
yeah, that what I would suggest is that the committee that met go ahead and make a proposal to the ENA board. So that's Rick and Francesca and Manuel and whoever else, sorry, attended that meeting. Why don't you guys, I mean, we can do it tonight, or if you guys want to kind of put your heads together and send it to the board and say, this is what we recommend, you know, recommend that we join or whatever it is that, or don't join or whatever. So I think you guys, you know, you guys are the ones I think to take the next step and recommend what you think the board should do. So any last things, Tammy or Erica or Bill? You guys are welcome to stay on, and I know you have lots of free time that you want to. God. You can have a break. You can have like 5 minutes off, Tammy, and then back to your. Anyway, any last comments? We really do appreciate your both meeting with the board members last weekend, coming tonight. So,
Well, I just want to say that thank you, number one, for having us here. And number two, if there are questions later, like as you absorb sort of everything that's going on, sometimes questions pop out later. Please feel free to email me or call me, and I'll do the best of my ability. And if I don't have an answer to your question, I will find it out. And so thank you again for being here. And
Bill and Maggie has my contact information, as does Erica and Tammy. So thank you all. And I will take the opportunity to break off. Good night, everybody.
Good night,
Okay,
Bill.
and I
Bill.
just want to say, I think what we'll do to
Good night,
follow
Bill.
up is to include the links, all that stuff in our next e-bulletin. Okay, so that way we can make sure that it gets out to people.
Okay.
So, all right, if
Very
there
cool.
isn't anything else, thank you
Thank you.
guys.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Appreciate
So,
it.
now we can get on with more of the meeting.